Dubai's property market sets new records and Asian markets fall on rate hike expectations and the tech sector. You're watching the Daily Brief with Forbes. I'm Ramia Faraj. Dubai's property market set new records for transaction volumes in Q1, with total transactions reaching over 29,000. CBRE says this is the highest total ever registered during the first quarter of any year. In March alone, 11,597 residential transactions were registered in Dubai, marking a growth of 47.3% compared to March 2022. Average residential prices in Dubai rose 12.8% in Q1. Dubai's average residential rents have grown by 26.3% in the year to March 2023. The Arab Monetary Fund has extended a new $277 million loan to Morocco. The funds will support a reform program aimed at enhancing the efficiency of the financial and banking sector in the country. The IMF says it's also studying financing requests from other member countries and is expediting those requests to assist member countries during these particularly challenging times. Ukraine's economy contracted by 29.1% in 2022. By comparison, its GDP grew 3.4% in 2021 prior to Russia's invasion. Moscow's war has killed tens of thousands, prompted millions to flee, and battered swaths of the economy. State statistics show construction was the hardest hit sector as it shrank by 67.6% last year. The World Bank says Ukraine needs $411 billion for its reconstruction and recovery. Russia damaged more than 50% of its power infrastructure. Asian markets mostly fell today after the Federal Reserve's policy meeting showed officials expect a U.S. recession at the end of this year. Also, lower than forecast U.S. inflation data didn't convince investors the Fed won't hike rates again. The 5% rise in the March Consumer Price Index was the lowest since May 2021. Hong Kong was dragged by sharp losses in the tech sector after reports that SoftBank will unload most of its holdings in Alibaba. Meanwhile, China's exports unexpectedly surged in March, with officials flagging rising demand for electric vehicles. Exports in March shot up 14.8% from a year ago, snapping 5 straight months of declines and stunning economists who had predicted a 7% fall. But analysts say the improvement partly reflects suppliers catching up with unfulfilled orders after last year's COVID disruptions. They say exporters rushed to fulfill a backlog of orders and warn the global demand outlook remains subdued. Apple has reportedly significantly increased its production of iPhones in India, accounting for almost 7% of its total iPhone production, up from 1% in 2021. Apple assembled more than $7 billion worth of iPhones in the country in the last fiscal year. Apple has been shifting production away from China and towards India after disruptions caused by its zero-COVID policy. LVMH, the world's largest luxury company, saw a 17% rise in Q1 sales, more than doubling analyst expectations. Sales of the French company, which owns the Louis Vuitton and Dior fashion houses, as well as Hennessy Cognac and U.S. jeweler Tiffany, reached $23.1 billion in the quarter. Its Q1 sales grew by 14% in Asia, excluding Japan, compared with an 8% decline in the fourth quarter of last year. The group says it expects China to drive growth this year. And that brings us to today's Forbes Real-Time Billionaires ranking, where our biggest winner today is LVMH's Bernard Arnault, up a staggering $11.6 billion with net wealth of $233 billion. Our second biggest winner today is L'Oreal's François Bettencourt-Meyers, up $2 billion with net wealth of $90.9 billion. And our third place winner is Warren Buffett, up $1.6 billion with net wealth of $110.9 billion. Check out our website and our social media for all of the latest Billionaires news. And staying with Billionaires, Elon Musk has escalated his attacks on NPR in a series of tweets, calling for the news organization to be defunded. It came just hours after NPR announced it would no longer use Twitter, after it labeled it a state-affiliated media and then government-funded media, which implies government involvement in its editorial content. NPR says it's not putting its journalism on platforms that undermine its credibility. The outlet encouraged people to instead subscribe to its newsletters and follow NPR on other social media. I'm Ramia Faraj. This is the Daily Brief. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.